everybody to keep your microphones on and your cameras if you can, just because it makes it more fun.
Right.
Less weird when I talk to like a name. Just a blank background, so.
Perfect. All right, I'll make you host.
Cool, thank you.
You bet.
Oh my gosh, I don't recognize anybody's name. I'm gonna have to make you all go through and like introduce yourselves. Did anybody watch my other buyers, the recorded buyer series I've done? No. Oh yeah, no, Johnny, you've been on mine before actually. Wait, didn't you?
Yeah, I've been on yours before, and I have watched the recorded one.
Okay, so you know how weird I get when I talk about experiences.
Not weird, just in depth.
Wow, articulate right there, my friend.
Are we all set then?
Yeah, you're all set. I'll let you be.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Hi guys, thank you so much for hopping on. Like I said, I really encourage this to be as interactive as possible. We're going to learn more. We're going to have more fun together. Or at least I'll probably have more fun. I don't know about you guys. But please like stop me, ask questions. If something doesn't make sense, let's talk about it more in depth, anything like that. I encourage you guys to totally just hop in. I am tech stupid. So like you just heard me say to Jeremy, like, do I have to do anything to be the host? So like, if you guys put stuff in the chat, I'm probably going to miss it because people do it every time. And then somebody's like, hey, they asked a question in the chat and it's like way over my head. So seriously, like if you have a question, just say it out loud. If you put it in the chat, just like interrupt me and say, hey, I put a question in the chat. Sound good? We're all good? Everybody thumbs up? Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Okay. So does anybody have buyers that they're currently working with? One, Lily. Okay. Awesome. Okay, good. Has anybody talked to any? Oh, 4. Nice. Okay.
Not nice.
Not nice. Okay, it's not nice. Sorry. I thought Kiara was hopping on today. There she is.
Hello.
There she is. I told her she was going to be my role play partner, so I was waiting for her to hop on. But okay, guys. So just to give you a little bit of background on me, I have been licensed since 2015. I've only ever been with Keller Williams. It's all I know. It's all I love. So that's cool. And I actually chose them. I interviewed one other brokerage, a small like boutique brokerage, but I chose Keller Williams because of the education programs that they have and the training that they offer. Because as you guys know, you take this test and then you come out of it and you're like, yeah, I don't know how to be a realtor. I know that lead paint before 1978, right? Like those are the things that you know. So I think that these sort of classes are super, super beneficial. And like I said, it's one of the reasons that I chose this amazing company. So anyway, so I've been licensed since 2015. So I'm coming up on 6 years this summer. I began as an individual agent. I was working full time at my other career at the time. And decided that I needed a little bit of assistance getting out of that. So to leverage my time a little bit better, I decided to join a team, which is interesting because you actually take on more work. So it's not actually leveraging your time as much as I thought it was going to be. But anyways, I spent 3 years as a buyer specialist. So I really, I feel like I've almost perfected this. Nothing's perfect, but almost perfected this process of working with buyers and having conversations with them and getting them to sign the appropriate paperwork so that you have that commitment with them to work with you. So I've said in other classes, like everything that I implement into my business is because I failed at it first. So the things that I do is because I failed forward. So some of this stuff may not work for you, and that's totally fine, but it's stuff that's worked well for me. And then we're always changing and adapting as well. So I feel like every time I teach this class, there's like something else that like an added layer, But anyway, so I was on a team for 3 years, went back on my own in December of 2019. So it's been a little over a year of that. And it's so funny. I feel like all the experience I had working with buyers, I was actually a little fearful to go back and working with sellers, feeling like maybe I don't have the experience. But actually, because of the experience I had working with buyers, it gave me the ability to coach my sellers a little bit better, because I'm like, okay, I know exactly what's going through buyers' minds. I know what these buyers are looking for. I know what their objections are going to be. So it's really kind of helped me in my business that way. I haven't done this stat in a long time, but these are the same notes that I pull out every time I teach. So at the time when I looked at these stats, which I'm willing to bet it's more than that now, but 2/3 of my business was competing offers for my buyers. So in 6 years, 2/3 of my business was competing offers. So really getting good at staying competitive, especially in this kind of market. And then 100% of my listings since I went back on my own have been competitive. So again, knowing that process of the competition, what to look for, how are you coaching your buyer so that it's going to stand out in a competitive situation with a listing agent and a seller. Okay. Do you guys have any questions on that? No, crickets? Okay, cool. You guys are going to have to talk a little bit more with me. All right. So the other thing I thought about was the last handful of classes that I've taught, the last handful of buyer series I've taught, I kind of focused on setting an appointment with like a sign call or something, but we're all new agents. So we don't really have signs that people are going to call on, right? So that doesn't make a lot of sense that I was doing it that way. So you guys have been coached to dig deep into your database, dive into your sphere, talk to the people that you know. The likelihood of you working with somebody that you've already met is greater than you working with somebody that you haven't met, right? So I went ahead and I kind of decided, okay, we're going to change this conversation a little bit because again, like fail forward, I'm one person who I'm about 95% referral. So I'm working with people that I know, and I miss these questions with people that I know because I know them. And then I just rush it to get to the appointment. So this whole thought process around teaching today's class has kind of forced me to slow down and implement some of this into my own business as well. So Kiera, I can pick on you to play with me for this?
Yes.
So what I would like to do is role play with Kiera, and we're going to pretend that Kiera is a friend of mine, okay, or somebody that I know, okay, or maybe they're an extension or a referral, right? So we have something in common with them already. So it might be easier to kind of have that conversation flow. And then hopefully when you guys are speaking with people that you know and trying to set appointments, you start ingraining that script, ingraining that language into your brain. And then when you're talking to somebody you don't know, it just kind of flows right out and it's like they're your friend all along, right? So, so we'll pretend that Kiera is, I don't know, somebody, a colleague at work, and she calls me and she says, hey, I'm thinking about buying a home, okay? So Kiera, if you wanna say ring, ring, I'm gonna answer the phone.
Okay. Ring, ring.
Hello, this is Kaylee.
Hey, Kaylee, this is Kira.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm well. What can I help you with?
Well, I was looking to buy a home soon.
Oh my gosh, how exciting. When did you decide that?
About a couple months ago.
A couple months ago? Okay, so you've been looking for a little bit?
Yeah, just a little bit, just to see like what's out here.
Okay, all right. Well, I have a few questions I want to go through with you first. So let me ask you, are you currently working with an agent? You're not working with anybody else, are you?
No.
No? Okay, perfect. Okay, now you said you've been looking for a little while. Have you seen anything in person or are you just looking online?
I just been browsing Zillow.
Browsing Zillow? Okay. What are you seeing?
I'm like in the Culver area. I seen a nice house on 123 Main Street.
Love that address. Okay, so you've been looking for a little while. You kind of got your eyes on 123 Main Street. So we'll definitely, I'll take a look at that. Have you heard anything about what's going on in the current market? Like, have you kind of been watching these houses and seeing how quickly they're moving? What's that
Yeah,
been like?
I heard a little, but I'm not.
Okay. What have you heard from people?
Yeah, that homes are selling very quick and it's a seller's market right now.
Yep.
About
That's
it.
exactly it. That's exactly it. What is your current situation? Are you renting? Are you living with, a friend or family? Like, do you have a lease or do you currently own a home? What's your current situation? And then what's your timeline with that?
Okay, so right now I'm renting and my lease is up in 6 months.
Okay. So we got to try to be into something within 6 months. Is that correct? Or do you have the ability to go, maybe month to month or something like that afterwards if we can't find you something?
I may be able to work that out with my landlord.
Okay. All right. So, but the first goal is to really find something in that time frame.
Yes.
Okay.
if possible.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. The only reason I ask is because, like you said, these homes are selling very quickly and it's a seller's market, so it can be competitive. So it may take us a little bit of time to find the right one, with such low inventory out there. So now you mentioned that you were interested in the Culver area, specifically 123 Main Street. Now, are there any other areas that have been of interest to you? Is that the price point that you're kind of sticking in, or is that flexible?
I'm actually not sure. I just like that neighborhood. I grew up around there and I know a lot of people over there.
Okay. So you like it, but it sounds like you might be open to exploring other options.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And that house is listed at 150. Is that the range that you've been looking in?
Yes.
Or are you lower, higher? What's your comfortability there?
I would say like 150 and then less.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. And then do you plan on getting a mortgage or will you be paying cash for if and when you purchase a property?
I plan on getting a mortgage.
Getting a mortgage. Okay, perfect. And have you been pre-qualified? Have you spoken with a lender yet?
Yes.
You
Yep.
have. Okay, awesome. Who are you pre-qualified with?
I am pre-qualified with a premium mortgage.
My gosh, I love them.
Yes.
Who's your loan officer?
I have Sayuko.
Oh, she's amazing. She's
Yeah.
amazing. We work really well together. That's exciting. Okay, good. So do you mind if I just connect with Sayuko and let her know that we'll be working together?
Yes. That's
Yes,
fine.
you, okay. I'm like, wait, yes, you do mind?
Oh, no, I don't mind.
Okay, Kara, so I know you're interested in 123 Main Street, but here's what I suggest we do, okay? So my policy is I meet everybody at the office first before we see any houses in person because there's some COVID forms, there's some New York State disclosure, all that kind of stuff I gotta go over with you first. And then we can talk about the market more in depth, get you set up on your home search. And then, you know, we'll kind of strategize the best plan for you moving forward, and really try to maximize your buying power in this extremely competitive market, especially in the areas that we're looking at. So, and then what we can do is we can schedule the showing for right after our meeting at the office. How's that sound?
That sounds good.
All right. Excellent. Okay. So that was really easy because I know Kiara, and Kiara called me, which is always great, right? We'd rather have people call us than us have to call people, right? But really it was more about asking those questions. Okay. So I'm going to go through the questions that I asked her, and kind of see like what the flow of that looks like. So number one is, are you currently working with an agent? So if they say yes, you say,
I'll call your agent.
yeah, okay. So they say, yes, I'm working with somebody. You say, okay, great. Who's your agent? You're going to want to give them a call, or I can call them for you and let them know that you're interested in whatever property or whatever, right? So if it's somebody that you know, it's unlikely that they're going to already be working with somebody, but it's possible, right? But if it's you know, an Op City call, a Zillow call, if you guys are doing leads that way, if you're door knocking or you meet somebody at an open house, you know, they're signing in, you're going to be able to see if they're working with an agent or not. Okay. If they write no, then I would just double check with them. Like, hey, just want to double check. You're not working with an agent, right? Okay. And then next thing is, okay, so tell me about your home search. You know, chances are they've been kind of looking a little bit, you know, so what does that look like for you? Have you been looking for a while? Did you just go on Zillow today? You know, what's your experience been with that? And then when they say, you know, what their experience has been, oh, I'm seeing homes move very quickly. Oh, okay. What have you heard about our current market? Right? So trying to get a pulse on where they're at, and then you meet them there, right? Because if we start just throwing stuff at them, they're like, whoa, hold on, this is not what I thought I was getting into, right? So find out where they are, meet them there, and then build from there, okay? And then I always like to ask how you're searching for homes. You know, a lot of people will look on Zillow and things like that. I'll usually let people know, listen, we're going to get your search set up in the MLS, and these listings are going to be sent to you within 5 minutes of being listed. So you're going to have this information almost instantly, where it can take 24, 48 hours to syndicate with those third-party websites sometimes, like Zillow or Realtor.com. So you're getting the information a lot later than other people. You might miss something, right? So you can, you know, try to educate them on that, give them a little more incentive to sit down with you. And then asking her, what's your current situation, right? Because if she said to me, I own my home and I'm contingent, we gotta back up and have a different conversation, right? If she says, I'm renting, I have to be out in 6 months, now I know her time frame, and that's gonna help me in my appointment, which we'll get to that. If she says, I'm living in mom's basement, I can do whatever, then I'm going to kind of go with, okay, well, what's your time frame there, right? Or if she says, I have a house, I'm not contingent on my sale, you know, again, that conversation might look a little bit different. Okay, well, what's your timeline? Are you looking to purchase first? Are you looking to sell first? How can we strategize the best plan for you? So, so she said she was currently renting. She's got to be out in 6 months. Okay, so we have a tight time frame here. So, and then getting a pulse on the area that the potential client is interested in, again, is going to help you in your appointment, because you're going to prepare information for them when you sit down with them. So she told me the Culver area, which tells me she's probably in between East and West Irondequoit, possibly the city. Is that correct, Kiara?
Yep.
Yep. So, and that's because I know the Culver area, right? But like, let's say she was like Greece. Okay, I'd be like, okay, are you interested in North Greece or like the older part of Greece? are there any other areas you're considering? A lot of times you'll get people that are like, oh, my kids are in school in this district, so I have to stay in this district. Okay, perfect, makes it easy, right? So just trying to gauge where they are in that, and then definitely getting their price point in mind. Because again, you are planning to sit down with them, so you need to be prepared, okay? So she said she's looking for 150 and under. Okay, so now I know the conversation that we have to have when we sit down together. Again, we're going to get there in the appointment. And then obviously, most important, I need to know, have you been pre-qualified? Okay, so if Kiara said, no, I have not been pre-qualified yet, the conversation would look like this. Okay, no problem. Would it be all right if I had one of my loan officers give you a call? Kiara?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, most likely they're going to say yes, and you can say, like, if somebody's kind of on the fence about it, you can say, well, this information is really going to be, the driving force behind the decisions that we make going forward, right? So we have to know where we are to know where we're going to go. Right? So if they're not qualified, like the conversation's going to look way different, or, I like to ask too, because maybe they're qualified with a lender that I don't particularly prefer to work with, so I might say, oh, they're great. Are you open to a second opinion?
Yeah.
Boom, there you go, and you can let them know. Sometimes the lender that a buyer is using can make a difference if they're going to have their offer accepted or not. I personally have had agents tell me, we went with your offer because we liked your lender better. Or on the listing side of things, I've gone back to people and said, I love everything about your offer and I hate your bank. I can't get in touch with anybody there. They're really difficult to work with. Would you mind switching to one of these lenders? Right? And now their offer wins. So definitely you want to make sure they're pre-qualified. If she says cash, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask her to bring a proof of funds to our appointment when we sit down. Okay. So I got all my questions out of the way, and then I told her what was happening next. And that's usually the hardest part. Right? So we're like, okay, well, would you want to sit down with me? Like, I don't know. Do you want me to sit down with you? Like, you tell me, you're the professional. Like, what am I supposed to do? I'm calling you for help. Come on. Right? So I'm telling her, okay, Kiara, here's what we're going to do. You're going to come in. We're going to go over everything. You're going to sign some forms. We're going to set up your search. We're going to strategize a plan, and then we're going to go see the house. Okay, great. Why would I say no to that? That sounds awesome. Right? So you are the professional, right? So I gave Kiara this example when we met last week. And after I said it, I was like, that was kind of a good example. So you go to the doctor, right? And your doctor has a treatment plan for you or something. I don't know, you got a toe fungus, right? And they're like, okay, your results came back. You got a toe fungus. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to put you on this medicine. You're going to take it for 5 to 7 days, twice a day, and you're going to drink water and have no wine. And then you're going to say, I'm in real estate. I have to have wine. I'm just kidding. But seriously, so your doctor comes in and tells you this is what we're doing. They're not like, would you like to be on medicine? Would you like to come back in? Like, come on, so when you think about asking somebody, think of that example. Okay, so you're the doctor. Does that make sense? Do you guys have any questions on that?
I have a question. What did you,
I was gonna say,
the questions that you were writing down, like, what did you write down? Because I was like, oh, she's writing stuff down.
oh, I was writing down her answers.
But how did you write it out? Do you know what I mean? Did you just write what she said back to you? Oh, okay.
So literally, you can make a script of this. Like, I'll tell you this. I have a seller questionnaire that I do the same thing. I bring this when I sit down with sellers at the listing appointment, or I'll ask them on the phone ahead of time. You can do the same thing for buyers. They don't know the difference. You're like, hey, this is my question sheet. This is what I do. This is my policy, right? So write all those questions down, and then you never miss it, right? It's like, oh my gosh, hold on 1 second. You just called me. Let me grab my buyer sheet, and I'll go through everything with you, right? Again, think of it like if you're a doctor, you're gonna have your clipboard, right? With all the questions. So yeah, there you go. Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna screen share with you guys. Oh, maybe not yet. Hold on. Share. All right, so I'm gonna show you. This is this actually needs to be updated because I don't use this so often anymore. I used to use it all the time. But if you want to have like a consultation guideline for yourself, go ahead and have that out. If you guys can't tell, I go off on tangents. I get a little scatterbrained. So it is helpful for me to have something like this. Since I made this, I have put a version of it into my buyer packet. So right when they come in and sit down, or sometimes I'll send this to them ahead of time, they'll have this buyer packet so they know exactly what the buyer consult's going to look like. So I don't use that checklist sheet so often anymore, just because I have it in my packet. So I stay on track that way. Okay. So let's dive into what the paperwork looks like when we sit down at our appointment together. If I can find it. There we go. All right. Kiara, you are still playing along with me, right?
Yep.
You're with me here? Okay. So Kiara comes in to sit down. Kiara, thank you so much for coming in today. Sun is shining. I appreciate you being here with me. Okay, so like I said, we have a few things to go over first, then we'll get into setting up your search and, you know, coming up with a plan for you for if and when you decide to purchase a home. So we'll follow along with this. So you can see right here, the first thing we got to do is go over those housekeeping items. So I mentioned, you know, some COVID forms and some other New York State documents. So the first one we're going to go over is the New York State disclosure form that addresses how agency works. Okay. So we're not selling anything today, so I'm not a seller's agent. So I'm going to go ahead and cross this paragraph out. Okay. And I'm not a broker agent, so we're going to go ahead and cross this paragraph out. Okay, so I do this right in front of them, okay? And Kiara knows this because we just went through this together, but I sit across from the client, I spin it around, it's upside down to me, it's right side up to them, okay? So memorize this document so that you can do it upside down, okay? So they are following along, so they see me cross out seller's agent, cross out broker's agent, okay? But Kiara, we are talking about possibly purchasing a home. So this is the paragraph that we're going to focus on first, the buyer's agent paragraph, and I go ahead and circle it, okay? And then I look at Kiara and I say, Kiara, as a buyer's agent, I have certain fiduciary duties to you. They include reasonable care, undivided loyalty, confidentiality, full disclosure, and obedience within the law. So I can't do anything illegal, but I do have to do what you tell me to do. Okay, so you're in the driver's seat here. Okay, so I don't know if you guys were looking at the screen or looking at me, and I know it doesn't look like I'm looking back at you, but I'm staring right at Kiara on my screen, and I did this with her last week. We never broke eye contact when I explained those fiduciary duties. I encourage you to learn those fiduciary duties and have the ability to look your client in the eye and say them to them. Okay. It's going to go a long way. All right. So I explain the fiduciary duties, and then I say the next two paragraphs that we're going to focus on have to do with dual agency. Okay, and I usually draw 2 arrows. I don't know why I do that, but I do an arrow here and an arrow here. So I say, okay, the first type of dual agency that exists would be if I am a listing agent where I'm representing the seller, and now I'm working with you, representing you as a buyer, and you are interested in my listing. Okay, New York State says there's something in common here. That thing in common is me. All right, so I become a dual agent. I personally do not practice dual agency. Okay, so you guys need to decide how you want to run your business, because you do have the ability to be a dual agent. Okay, but I challenge you to think about what that actually means. Okay, so I essentially become a contract writer because I owe those fiduciary duties to my seller and I owe those fiduciary duties to my buyer. Okay, and here's where I see a lot of the issues come up. It may not be negotiating the contract and getting under contract. Okay, so everything's good there, right? Everybody's all happy, hunky-dory. We have a signed contract. Well, then they do their inspection. And now your sellers are digging their heels in and the buyers want X, Y, Z, and you can't really coach either on what to do because you're representing both. Right? Or maybe you run into issues later down the line where maybe there's some possession issues, or maybe there's final walkthrough issues. And again, I think that it just leaves room for clients you create doubt. Okay. So to eliminate anybody having any doubt of if my agent is working in my best interest, why bother? And that's just my views on it. You're more than welcome to practice dual agency. You're more than welcome to stop me and ask more questions around that. But that's how I explain it to my clients. So I say, do not practice dual agency. Now, Kiera, if I had a listing that you were interested in, here's what we would do. I would refer you to one of the other fantastic agents in my office that I know and I love and I trust, and they would take great care of you if you wanted to write an offer on one of the properties that I had listed. Okay, and then I always ask them, are you okay with that? And I've never had anybody say no. Okay, is Jay Sackett on this call? Because I can only see 4 of you.
He was. I think he might. I don't know if he left or not.
Okay, so Jay is like one of my people that he had to do that for me. Or I'm sorry, I had to do that for him actually. He had to do it for me in a different situation, which I'll explain later. But his very first listing, he ended up with a buyer that wanted to write on it. So I wrote on it for the buyer. So because he wasn't comfortable practicing dual agency. So I was hoping that he was still on the call to hear that. But anyways, does anybody have any questions on that before I move on? Okay. So the next type of dual agency that exists is a dual agent with a designated sales agent. Okay, so what that means is, Kiera, you and I are working together to find you a home to purchase, and you're interested in a listing that's listed with another Keller Williams agent. Okay, so it's Tiffany Hilbert down the hall or the property girls downstairs. Okay, so New York State says there's still something in common, but it's not me, the agent, it's our brokerage KW, okay? And this type of dual agency I do practice because it does allow me to show you the most amount of properties that are out there. And all my fiduciary duties stay the same to you. All the fiduciary duties that the listing agent has with the seller stay with them. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, sounds great. My name goes here. Keller Williams Realty Greater Rochester goes here, or West, or Gateway, whatever you're out of. I check mark buyer, I check mark buyer's agent, check mark buyer, and my buyer signs. Okay, do you guys have any questions on that? Great, okay. Next one. So New York State Fair Housing, another New York State mandated form. Okay, so disclosure form I have to go over with you. It's everything that has to do with fair housing and anti-discrimination. So I have to comply with all local, state, and federal fair housing laws. It is illegal to discriminate. This top portion of the page here gives examples of all the different ways that someone could be discriminated against. And the bottom portion here lets you know that you do have the right to file a complaint if you feel like you've been discriminated against. There is a hotline you can call. There is a website you can visit. Do you have any questions on that?
No.
Fantastic. Okay. So now everybody signs the bottom here. Okay.
Can you have some of those line, like the name with your line pre-filled out or no? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do sometimes, if I think of it.
Okay.
I don't write their name on there, like just because on the off chance that they don't sign this, I don't want to waste a piece of paper.
Right.
So yeah, I have my name on there. I don't have their name. So I have never had anybody give me any grief on these two forms. So yeah. From there, we're going to transition into the buyer agency agreement. So this is the scary one, you guys, which is really not all that scary. Okay, so this is the transition from the not scary ones to the scary ones. All right, or scary one, I should say. So Kira, the next document that we're going to go over is called a buyer agency agreement. Okay, so it's basically an agreement for us to work together. If we did not have this agreement in place, I am actually working as a sub-agent of the listing agent, whoever the listing agent is. So they could work for Remax, they could work for Howard Hanna, okay? If I'm a sub-agent of the listing agent, I'm supposed to represent the seller's best interest, which is ridiculous. I want to represent your best interest, okay? So we have this agreement in place that says that, yes, I legally represent Kiara's best interests, okay? So again, know this document so you can spin it around so it's upside down for you, right side up for them, okay? And again, Kiara and I had this conversation and I told her, so the first time I ever went over this document with a potential client, it was over the phone. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. Oh, thank you. Because what I did was I wrote out each paragraph in layman's terms. So I wrote it out how I was going to explain it. And then I just read that and it was perfect. Okay. So I'm going to go through it and explain it how I explain it to my clients, but it's all in layman's terms. So I suggest that you guys find a way that works for you, something similar or the same, because if you are reading every single word, your client is going to fall asleep. Okay. So paragraph number 1, the buyer, Kiara Butler, you appoint Keller Williams Realty Greater Rochester or West or Gateway, and myself, Kaylee Moody, to represent you if and when you decide to purchase a property. Paragraph number 2. Okay, so this is where the information she gave me over the phone is going to help me fill this out. So, okay, she told me she's looking at 123 Main Street. It's a single family home. So, Kara, sounds like we're just looking at residential property, right? We're not interested in any sort of like investment properties or vacant land. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And then you also mentioned that you really wanted to kind of stay in that Culver area. So, it sounds like we're going to be staying within Monroe County. Is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So what I do is I check mark residential right here, and then I write within Monroe County right on this line. Okay. If I have people that are looking in multiple counties, guess what? You write down all those counties. I've written down like 5 counties before.
What's the purpose of writing the counties down?
Because I feel like it holds them a little more accountable. You know what I mean? I guess I feel like I'm getting more specific with it. So I don't know if they went outside of that, you know, we'd want to have a conversation around it. You know what I mean? So, okay, paragraph number 3, broker's representation and services basically says that I'm a licensed agent. Okay, so I'm the only one that can show you homes, write your contract, negotiate your contract, you know, outside of an attorney. If I'm unavailable, you know, if I'm on appointments and I got to get you into a house that night, I have somebody else cover for me and take you there. They also have to be a licensed agent. Okay, I'm not going to stick you with my sister. Okay. Number 4, buyer's obligation. So this document asks 3 things of you while we're working together. Okay. The first one is that you're working exclusively with me and not any other agents or brokers or salespersons. Okay. Number 2 is that you're acting in good faith, which of course, why wouldn't you? You're a good person. And number 3, it's really kind of silly, but it's that you're providing me with the general search criteria that we've talked about, you know, so we're looking at a residential property within Monroe County, you know, our pre-quals for 150. So we're not going to be looking at $1 million homes on Canandaigua Lake, right? Right. Okay. So, if Johnny Cotton is still on here, he's not on my screen, but he's going to remember this story, or anybody else who's taken my class, you'll remember this story. So paragraph 4A, this was probably 2 or 3 years ago. I was on the team at the time, and I had just taught this class for the very first time. And I came out of there feeling really good. And then I had a buyer consultation. So I was like all fresh, feeling really great about it. And it was with a referral. So the team before I had joined had sold a house to this guy. And then I joined the team and he wanted to move his dad here from New Jersey. So I sold his dad a house. And now he wanted to move mom to Rochester from New Jersey. So mom was now sitting down with me to buy a house in Rochester. So she comes from Jersey and she was very much like, let's go, let's go, let's go. I'll sign whatever. I want to go see these houses. You know, we had 2 appointments to go see townhomes after we sat down together. And I get to 4A and I'm explaining it to her and she's like, well, what if I want to work with somebody else? Well, why would you want to work with somebody else? You know, like why would you want to do that? She's like, well, I'm just thinking like, you know, what if I'm looking on Zillow and I just randomly come to town and, you know, I want to call the listing agent and have them show me. And I said, well, the listing agent is going to ask you if you have an agent you're working with, and then you would say me. Totally played dumb. So she's like, yeah, but what if I don't want to sign this? What if I want to work with the listing agent? Okay, so again, we're going to ask questions. Well, the listing agent's representing the seller's best interest. So wouldn't you want to work with an agent that's representing your best interest? And she goes, I don't care, sale's a sale. And I was like, you're so mean. I didn't say that, but I was thinking it. And I thought, okay, I understand where you're coming from. And would you like me to finish the document and then we can come back to this and discuss further if you like? And she's like, no, I don't really understand why this, you know, I'm exclusively tied to you, blah, blah, blah. So I start to panic. I'm like, I better go get my team leader, my rainmaker. She's going to kill me if this lady walks out of here. So I'm like, hold on, let me get her. So she comes in, has the same exact conversation with this woman. And she says, well, you know, I'm sorry, but we work really hard for our buyers and we expect exclusivity with the people that we're working with because we feel that we do a really nice job. And we put in a lot of time and effort to help our clients. So unfortunately, we won't be able to see those 2 properties today. You know, let us know if you change your mind. So, and then my team leader, my rainmaker, had the most amazing objection handler. And you're going to remember this forever and ever and ever. When I tell you this now, this woman had been divorced 3 times. And she said to her, it's like if you were getting divorced, you'd want your own attorney, right? Your own representation. You wouldn't want to use the representation of your soon-to-be ex, right? And she was like, where do I sign? Okay, so take that with you, keep it in your back pocket. Somebody gives you pushback on that, you say, listen, why would you want to have the same representation of the person that you're kind of going up against, right? So we're gonna all work together, but it's really in your best interest to have somebody working on your behalf, right? So anyways, moving on. Any questions on that? Okay, good. All right, so term of agency. So we have to have a timestamp on the time we're gonna work together, okay? So Kiara told me she's gotta move in 6 months. So here's what I'm gonna say to Kiara. Kiara, because we have a tight time frame, I suggest we write this for 6 or 8 months, okay? You know, hopefully we can find you something in that time. 8 months would give us a little extra wiggle room. We can always adjust this if we need to later on. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna write today's date, and then I'm gonna write 6 months from now or 8 months from now, whatever we decide, okay? Now, if Kiara says, I'm living in my mom's basement and it doesn't really matter, you know, when I find the right one, I find the right one. Well, guess how long Kiara is gonna sign that agency agreement for? Any guesses?
Forever.
Forever. No, I'm just kidding. Forever. No, for 1 year.
I was
Okay.
gonna say until a sale is made or
Yeah, until the end of time. Let me cross off this whole paragraph. Yeah, so if you have somebody that's kind of like, write it for a year. If you have somebody that gives you a specific time frame, try to stay within that. If you have somebody that you feel is very nervous about signing these papers, like let's say you got a for sale by owner, or a for sale by owner, excuse me, a first time home buyer. You know, they're a young kid, they're doing this by themselves, you know, they might be a little, I don't know, hey, let's sign this for like 2 months, 3 months. All right, let's try each other on. If it doesn't work, then we'll go separate ways. And you leave it at that. Okay, so you can always re-up this. I've had people where I've done it for 90 days at a time before. So, you know, and you know what that means, guys? You got to do a really good job. You should always do a really good job. But if somebody's only willing to sign 90 days, you got to blow them away. Okay, now this little piece here. Okay, I always put 30 days there. Okay, so this is what I'm going to say to Kiara. What's 6 months from now? October 20th. Okay, so Kiara, let's say we get to October 15th and I show you a home and you're like, I like it. I think it's priced a little high. I'm going to see if the price comes down. Let's give it a few weeks and watch it, which would not happen in this market. We all know that. Okay, but let's just play pretend. Okay, so Kiara says, I'm going to watch it for a few weeks and we'll see what happens. Okay, so now it is October 31st. It's Halloween and Kiara is going to play a mean trick on me. And she's going to go ahead and write an offer on that property with another agent. So she's writing an offer on the property that I showed her during our agreement to work together. She's writing it with another agent 15 days later. So within this time frame. So Kiara, if you write an offer on a house that I showed you while we were working together within 30 days of our end date with another agent, Keller Williams is still due their commission from that sale. Okay. Who's due the commission?
Keller Williams.
Keller Williams, not you, the agent. Okay. Keller Williams. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that? Wow. No questions today. Okay. Number 6. So compensation of broker. We just got done talking about commission. So what I do is I go ahead and I cross this out and I say, okay, there's no other, there's no non-refundable retainer, there's no hourly fee. However, I'm sure you're very aware that I make a commission and it's 3% of the purchase price. And it is typically covered by the seller in the listing contract that they sign. Okay, so I write 3 right there. And I say, there's a few instances where it may not be covered or fully covered by the seller. And this is where Keller Williams will ask you to make up the difference. Okay, so those scenarios look like this. Number 1, government owned or bank owned property. So foreclosure. Okay, so, you know, who knows what's going to happen with all the effects of COVID when they play out, but we might start to see some more foreclosures out there. But foreclosures, you know, a lot of times they offer 2 or 2.5%. Okay. I've never asked a buyer to make up the difference because I don't think that that's fair. Okay. But I have to get permission from my broker to take a lesser commission. Okay. So I let them know that right up front. Number 2, for sale by owners. It's my job to go in and negotiate my commission. This is where you're going to need the most amount of representation. Okay. So if they're only willing to pay a portion of it, this is where you would have to make up the difference. Or if they are absolutely not willing to pay it at all, and this is 100% the house for you, then you would be required to pay the commission. Now, we can do this a few different ways. We can build it into your purchase price, things like that. So if we run into that situation, we can talk about it then, okay? The only other way that Keller Williams would require you to pay that 3% would be if I did everything right, acted in good faith, brought you all the way to the closing table, and then you decided, I don't want to buy the house anymore. Okay, Keller Williams says, hey, we did our job, so we do have to get paid. Do you have any questions on that? Kiara, you're my buyer.
Oh, no, I don't.
Okay. You guys, my very first transaction ever, the buyer walked away at the closing table. I still got paid because I got this signed. True story. So you want to protect yourself, get this thing signed. So yeah, I've never had anybody really give me pushback on that. So
Who pays that? The buyer?
Yep.
So
Yep.
what if they just refuse to pay it?
Then you go to court.
Huh.
Says it right in here. If contract falls through due to default by buyer, the transaction fee shall become immediately due and payable to broker. Okay. I think I was lucky in the fact that this kid was like, all right, fine, let's just be done with it. I'll pay you, whatever. But I'm sure there's people that fight it. You know, so, but yeah, also I said broker or shall be payable to broker. So notice nowhere in that explanation did I say I get paid. I said Keller Williams did their job. Keller Williams said we got to get paid. Okay, so always put it back on Keller Williams because truthfully it says the broker in all of this. Okay, so just remember that because the second that you take responsibility for that, you are tied to that forever. Now it becomes about you and them and not them and the company. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have them initial this little line here. Okay. Do you guys have any other questions on that? Okay. Number 7, other potential buyers. Okay, so again, I'm going to explain this, how I work my business. You guys are more than welcome to explain or to practice your business the way that it's written in this paragraph, but other potential buyers. So Kiara, you're working exclusively with me, but you know that I have other buyers that I'm working with. Okay, so in the event that I have multiple buyers interested in the same property, this is how I practice my business. I will show that property to any of my buyers. However, I will only write an offer for one. Okay, so the way that I have done it in the past is whoever comes to me first and says that they want to write an offer, I'll write an offer for them. Or if I have a longer standing relationship with somebody, because I do sell homes to my friends and family, then I will write the offer for them, and I will refer the other party or other parties out to, you know, those fantastic agents in my office that I know and love and trust. Okay. And the reason for that is because I don't think it's fair for me to know everything about your situation and everything about their situation and coach both of you to write on the same property. So again, similar to when we were talking about dual agency, you want to remove that doubt from their mind, because I'm more interested in getting a client for life than I am with getting a paycheck. Okay, because whoever doesn't get it, they're going to go buy something else. But if they feel scorned in that situation, they may not buy it with you. Okay, so I've never had anybody give me pushback on this. And I actually, again, like Kiera and I, we just recently went over all of this. So I just told her that I am working with my cousin, which is great. I love them. And I'm also working with friends of mine that we have been friends for over 10 years. And they wanted to write on the same house. And it was the first offer for both of them. And it broke my heart. But I had to write for my cousin. So I referred my friend of 10 years out to, it was actually Jay. So that was the other example that I had. But so that's how I practiced that. They were totally fine with it. They totally understood it, because for them, they're like, we don't want to be in a situation like that, you know? And if you are on the fence about it, just put yourself in the buyer's shoes and think, you know what, if I knew my agent was writing on the same house for somebody else and I didn't get it, I'd kind of wonder, like, well, what happened there? Like, why didn't they coach me to do something differently? You know what I mean? So anyways, moving on. Number 8, non-discrimination. One more time for the people in the back. We cannot discriminate. We have to comply with all local, state, and federal fair housing laws. What this paragraph actually says is that not only can the broker not discriminate, but the buyer cannot discriminate either, okay? So you need to make sure that you have that conversation with your buyer. So, hey, Kiera, if you have not nice things to say, you gotta like sit in your car or say them at home, okay? Because I don't wanna hear it, la, 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 okay? So cannot discriminate. Number 9, early agreement termination, okay? So again, I'm gonna explain this, how I work my business. You are free to operate your business the way that it is in this contract if you want to, but early agreement termination. So Kiera, if we're not working well together, if you don't like me, I'm not gonna handcuff you to this. I want you to be happy, okay? So I hope we can have a conversation about it, but if it's not going well, then what we can do is we can tear this up, or I can do an addendum that releases you from it, but we don't have to be married to this, okay? That sound all right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So a few things to point out. Number 1, that's not what this paragraph says. What this paragraph says is if the buyer wants out of this agreement prior to the time that we talked about, so for Kiera and I, it was that 6-month time period, okay? For any other reason other than the broker's fault. So let's say Kiera's uncle gets licensed and she's like, oh, my uncle got licensed. I gotta go work with him, okay? Buyer will be liable for and will pay all damages and expenses incurred by the broker. What are you gonna do? Go after them for gas money? Are you gonna like tally up all your mileage you spent with them? Get out of here, come on. You know, so to me, it's a silly paragraph, right? Because what am I really gonna go after my buyer for? Like, oh, you wasted my time. Oh, wow, this is what we signed up for. If you feel like you wanna come after somebody for that, be my guest, but I think your time is better spent doing other things. So, and like I said, if Kiara like is cool with it. Like, I'm gonna go work with my uncle. Oh my God, that's great. Good luck. Let me know if you need anything. We'll tear it up, right? Maybe she's like a by the book person. She's like, you know what? I'd really feel comfortable if we could do an actual addendum that says, you know, I'm released from working with you. I'd feel more comfortable about that. No problem. We'll do it. We'll sign it. Okay. Next thing about that paragraph, does anybody notice that I changed the language? Anybody catch that? I know Kiara did.
Mhm.
Okay. This says early contract termination. You know what's a scary word? Contract. You know what's not scary? Agreement. Okay. So anywhere you see the word contract, change your language to agreement. Okay. The paragraph even says, in the event this agreement, I don't know why they put contract here. It says agreement. Okay. So change contract to agreement. They can read, they know it, they see it, doesn't matter. You're changing it, okay? Number 10, responsibility of buyers under this agreement, okay? So Kiara, you're the only one that would be purchasing this house, so you're the one that's gonna have your name on this form. You're gonna be signing it, I'm gonna be signing it. You'll uphold your end of the agreement for us to work together, okay? Now, if Kiara has a partner or somebody else that's gonna be purchasing with her, then it would be, okay, so both of you are going to be purchasing this home. Both of your names go on the contract. Both of you sign it. Both of you are going to uphold your end of the agreement for us to work together. Okay. Renewal and modification of agreement. So Kiara, like I mentioned earlier, if we get to 6 months and we haven't found anything yet, we want to keep going, we can renew this, okay? We can modify this. Maybe you want to look outside Monroe County. We can change it to, you know, Ontario, whatever, okay? Pretty flexible document here. Number 12, professional counsel, super important. I'm a licensed realtor. I am not a mortgage broker. That's why I'm so glad that we have Sayuko. I'm not an attorney, I'm not an engineer, and I'm not going to pretend to be any of those things, okay? So when you have questions for those professionals, I have to point you in the right direction, okay? Okay. Attorney's fees. If for some reason this document went to court, the losing party pays the attorney fees. Entire agreement and assignability. So basically just says that once you sign, once I sign, it becomes a legally binding document for us to work together. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Kira's going to sign on the buyer line. I'm going to write Keller Williams Realty Greater Rochester on the broker line. I'm going to sign where it says buy, and then we both date it. Do you guys have any questions on any of that? No? Okay. So in real life, in real time, this takes me about 10, 15 minutes. Okay. Today it took us like 50, but once you learn it, it'll go a lot faster for you. Okay. So, and then I usually will do a COVID form with them, and I'll say, we have to have this on file for us to start looking at properties. So I'll pull it out and just say, you know, you understand that COVID can kill you, and we're entering other people's homes, and there's, you know, rules that we have to follow. So you sign and we're good. Okay. If you want to wait and get that signed at the first house you go see, that'd be my guess, whatever, that's fine. But I think it's easier to get everything signed up front. Okay. All right, Kiara, so we did all the housekeeping stuff. Now we're going to get to the fun stuff. Let's start talking about what's going on in the market here. Okay. This is fluffy stuff in my packet. Market overview. Okay. So I asked Kiara where she was looking, right?
Sorry, Kaylee. I
Yeah,
have to leave our meet and I have to pick my daughter up from school.
you gotta go? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, bye. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is it Shaymar? Is that how I say your name?
Uh-huh.
You're gonna be my new friend now.
All right.
Okay, so Shaymar, let's pretend that you're the new buyer here. We're gonna use what Kiara said, but so Kiara said, I'm looking in the Culver area, and then I confirmed with her, okay, Kiara, so Culver, so you're thinking like east Arundequoit, west Arundequoit, possibly the city? Yes. Okay, good. So before I sit down, or sorry, Shamar, you are my new client. I forgot. Okay. So before I sit down with Shamar, I'm going to pull some stats. The reason you want to do this ahead of time is because you don't want to end up like me, who told a client that it was so crazy seller's market a few years ago. And then we pulled stats together and the listings were up and the sale price was down. And then I ate my words. So pull it ahead of time. So Shamar, I'm going to show you Monroe County as a whole, okay, just so you can kind of see this is not really localized to one neighborhood or one area or another, right? We're seeing this everywhere, okay? So we're looking at March because April's not over with yet, okay? But March is still a good representative of what's going on now. So we're going to focus, ooh, what did I just do? Okay, we're going to focus on this, inventory of homes for sale. So last year versus this year, Monroe County as a whole is down over 50%. Okay, median sales price is up. Okay, so that's usually how that correlation works. If inventory is down, sale price is going to be up, right? Supply and demand. Okay, so that tells us we're probably going to be competing. Okay, now the other thing that the median sales price tells us is that's usually the biggest buyer pool, right? Because that's the most amount of homes that are being sold in that price point, right? So most amount of homes that are going to be available in that price point, but also most amount of buyers. Okay, so if we're looking under that, there's probably going to be an even bigger buyer pool, possibly. Okay. The reason I can tell you that we are 99.9999999% going to be competing is because of this stat. Percent of original list price received, over 100%. Okay, so you don't pay more than 100% unless you're competing, right? So now I'm setting the expectation of what's to come. Okay, so then what we're going to do is get a little more specific. So I'm going to say, okay, so Arundequite, this is actually bundled all in one. So we have east and west here. So again, we're going to look at those three stats. Inventory of homes were down still above 50%. Okay, median sales price in Arundequite, a little more comfortable, a little more in our range, right? Okay, so that's looking good. Percent of original list price received. Whew. Okay, almost 110%. Okay, so what that tells us, Shamar, is that we cannot look at houses that are listed for 150 if 150 is our max. Okay, we really got to stay between like $100,000 and $120,000 homes in order to give you the best chance at staying competitive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So now I've just broken the really bad news, and we're going to try to build them back up. Okay. So from there, we're going to strategize your move. Okay. So he's going to bring that pre-qual letter. I think I said in the original phone call that I was going to reach out to Sayuko and get that pre-qual, right? So I'm going to be able to see what I'm working with here, okay? So let's pretend you are conventional 5% down and non-contingent, okay? So we're up to 150, conventional 5% down, non-contingent. So what I'm going to say to Shamar is, okay, listen, you're a conventional buyer, that's great. Okay, that gives us a leg up on any of the buyers that are in a government loan program like FHA, VA, USDA, okay? And the reason for that is because those loans have a little more stickiness with them, okay? So at the appraisal, when the bank is making sure that the house is worth what you're willing to pay, there's a few more hoops to jump through for everybody involved in the transaction, okay? So a conventional loan tends to be a little bit easier, a little more laid back, a little bit, comfortable for everybody to get through. There's less sticking points there. So that's great. That's going to be really desirable if we're competing against people that are in in that other type of loan program. So that's great. Now, the other thing is we're putting 5% down, which is awesome because there is a conventional loan program that's 3%. So 5 is better than 3, right? Okay. But if we're competing against buyers that are conventional 10% or 15% or 20%, that might be a little bit of a ding against us. Okay. So we'll just have to keep that in mind that might be something that we're up against. Okay. And then your non-contingent, which is great. Most buyers in this price point where we're looking, they are going to be non-contingent. Okay, so we're kind of staying at a level playing field there with that. Okay, and then like we talked about, we just looked at those stats. So if our max is 150, we got to look, 20, 30, 40, maybe even $50,000 less than that in order to allow us to stay competitive. Okay, do you have any questions on that?
I think I'm all set.
Awesome. Okay. So you guys, if you have not sat down with a loan officer yet, sit down with a loan officer and learn some of these loan programs. Okay. So that you can be able to have like a general conversation. Like I had just said, I'm not a loan officer. Okay. So I'm not going to be able to sit there and tell you everything that, my guy Gage Bush at Premium Mortgage is going to be able to tell you. But I know the difference between FHA and conventional, I know that 10% down is better than 5% down, So just having a general understanding of how that works. Now, if Shamar came to me and said, okay, I'm FHA and so we know that. So FHA means he's 3.5% or most likely 3.5% down. That's the minimum. Okay. And then he needs 6% concessions. You know what I'm going to say to Shamar? This is not the market for you. And I think we should possibly look into other options. Okay. Let's say he really absolutely has to buy. Okay, Shamar, I think we should focus on properties that have been listed for an extended period of time because that seller is going to be more motivated to work with us. Okay. So just being able to have that strategy conversation. Okay. But I set the appropriate expectations of, hey, we got some good stuff. We got some stuff that might, be a ding against us. And then we still got some good stuff. So give them a sandwich. Okay, guys?
I do have a question about that actually.
Yes.
So what is making sellers more motivated to work with somebody that's doing a conventional loan than with an FHA loan right now? Like what is actually happening behind the scenes?
Because there's less hoops to jump through.
Like what types of stuff?
So you can't have any peeling paint on a property for a government loan. So, and I'm not even talking about like a windowsill, like the deck, the shed, like stuff that's not even attached to the house, you can get dinged on. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Anything more than 3 steps has to have a railing. Okay. Typically, they are a little less forgiving in their appraisals. Okay, so I think they're a little more strict with finding comps that match when it comes to the government loans.
Right.
Okay, but truthfully, I encourage you to sit down and have a further in-depth conversation with a loan officer. Because again, this is like a small snippet of the info I'm able to provide, you know what I mean? So, okay, so we went through strategizing their move. Now we know what to expect. So let's talk about your needs and wants list and get your search all set up. And then we'll start looking at some stuff. So what that looks like for me when I sit down with people is I say, I'm going to write it all down on paper first because I need to have it forever. And if I write it down, I'm more likely to retain it. Okay. So I'm going to write down all the needs and wants, and then we'll put it in the computer. So I have this in my packet talking about the needs. Okay. This is really more for like jogging my thoughts and jogging, their whole memory for what do I like, what do I need kind of a thing. The needs list is going to be small, you guys. The needs list is going to be small because you're setting up the search based on the needs list. It says it right there, to ensure we cast the widest net possible. Okay, so here's what it's going to look like. Okay, so Culver, so we're going to be east around Arundequite, west around Arundequite, and then the city close to Culver, right? So then I'm going to say, you know, Shemar, are there any other areas that are of interest to you? Right? So today, don't say no, but if whatever they give you, you write it down, okay? And then I'm going to say, okay, what's the minimum number of bedrooms you need for a house?
2. Or
2.
wait, yeah, right? What did I say?
People need 3 or 4,
3,
so that's why
4,
I asked.
10. I need 10. I'm kidding.
Okay, this is not the market for you. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so we're gonna say 2. So I'm gonna say 2 plus bedrooms, okay? What's the minimum number of bathrooms you need?
1.
1, okay. Now, if somebody says I need 2, okay, so let's pretend. So Shamar, tell me you need 2 bathrooms.
I need 2 actually. I changed my mind.
Okay, do you need 2 places to go potty or do you need 2 places to shower?
To go to the bathroom.
Okay, so is 1.5 good?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now you can be more professional when you ask that. I'm not. I'm just going to tell you that because it brings everybody's level down and we can just laugh and have fun and you can hopefully create a little rapport with your client, right? So who doesn't like the word potty? I think it's funny. So anyway, all right. So East Arundequite, West Arundequite, city close to Culver. So we have a minimum of 2 bedrooms, a minimum of 1 bathroom. Is there anything else that's a non-negotiable for you? Do you need a garage? Anything like that?
No, I think that's all.
That's all? Okay, awesome. Now, if they say, oh yeah, I need a garage. Okay, here's what that conversation looks like. Okay, you need a garage. So if a house does not have a garage, you 1000% don't want to look at it. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, good, right? Sometimes you'll get people that are like, wow, I'm like, okay, so that's a want. All right. So what we're going to do is we're not even going to have that be part of our search criteria. Okay. And then again, like just having this out is helpful. So, you know, I just went into the garage thing, but like people will say this all the time. Oh, I need a yard. I need a yard for my dog. I'm like, that's great. What does a yard mean to you? Because I'm a city girl, so like I'm good with like a green patch, like, you know, whatever. So ask them that, like, what does that mean to you? Okay. Do you want me to put a restriction on it? Because you might say half an acre and something's listed for 0.45. That's pretty close to half an acre. So you're not going to look at it, right? So I usually encourage people, let's just keep it as open as possible. Unless they're looking for something like actual, like a certain amount of acreage, like I need a minimum up 3 acres or something like that, then you can kind of start playing with that, okay? And then same thing with square footage. You know, some people are like, listen, I need at least 1,200 square feet because I have found that 3 bedrooms in less than 1,200 square feet is small, doesn't work for me. Like, okay, fine. Let's drop it down just a little to like 1,250 square feet, just because who knows where that extra 50 square feet might come from, right? And then again, checking in with them, is there anything else, okay? And then you're gonna go to the wants list. And this is where you're gonna be like, listen, tell me everything, okay? So what are all of your wants? What are the things that you've been seeing that you like? Okay. And you guys, you're going to die. So I sat down with this girl, a friend of mine actually, and she wants to sell her house, wants to buy a house, and she's totally scatterbrained. So I'm like, all right, well, let's get your search set up. Okay. So where are you thinking you want to live? I don't know. Okay. Well, you know, you're approved up to X, you know, do you want to go that high or do you want to stay lower? I don't know. Okay. Do you have a minimum number of bedrooms? I don't know. So we played this game for like 45 seconds. And then I was like, listen, you need to look at some stuff and get really clear, because I can't help you unless you give me a little bit of direction here, okay? Because we're not just gonna run around and look at stuff that doesn't make sense, okay? So I need you to go on the computer and start looking through some stuff. Or I can set you up on a really wide search, but we're not gonna look at anything yet until we tighten it up, okay? So having the ability to have that conversation with your client, like, dude, you help me help you. I'm like Jerry Maguire, right? So Shamar, what do you want in a house?
I really would like to see something with either a front porch or a back deck.
Okay, so like some sort of outdoor space or something.
Yeah.
What about if it has a patio? Is that okay?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay, awesome. What else?
Probably hardwood floors, downstairs and carpet upstairs.
Okay. What if the house has carpet but hardwoods underneath? Is that cool?
Yeah,
Like you
that's fine.
can rip them up?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, what else?
Maybe a gas fireplace if possible.
Gas fireplace, awesome. Now, what if everything in the house is perfect, but it's a wood burning fireplace? Would you still consider it because maybe you could like convert it?
Yeah, that I could consider that.
Okay, what else? I'm like a 3-year-old right now. What else?
I'm trying to think. I don't know.
Okay, do you need
decent
like
roof? A decent roof.
a decent roof?
That doesn't need to immediately be fixed.
Okay, so it sounds like we want to pay attention to age of the roof, age of the mechanics, maybe we'll
Yes.
check if the windows have been replaced, talking about that kind of stuff.
Perfect.
Okay. What about like kitchens and bathrooms? Like, does it matter to you if they're out of date or?
No, that's not a big deal because I could just update them myself if need be.
Okay, all right. So sounds like it's more important for the house to have the functionality that you're looking for rather than the cosmetic finishes. Like you can do that on your own. You want to make sure that the house makes sense in terms of having the space that makes you happy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'd like.
Awesome. Okay, great. So what we're going to do is we're going to put your search in to the computer. I'm going to base it on your needs. Okay. So you are going to get some junk in there that you're just not going to be interested in. Okay. You can throw it in the trash. All right. And then I have this list of wants, and that's what I'm going to focus on when I'm prospecting for properties for you. Okay. So let's go ahead and put this in. Does this drive anybody nuts? All my tabs open?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys should see how many emails I have. I don't even want to click on it. You'll throw up. I'm that guy with like 400 notifications at once. Okay, so I am actually going to set up Shamar's search with East and West Arundequite because I'm going to set it based on school district. Okay, and the reason I set searches based on school district is I'm able to pull stuff from a wider radius. Okay, so like I do a lot on the east side, so there is stuff that is in Brighton but it's Penfield schools, right? Or it's Henrietta but Pittsford schools, so you get all this kind of mixing around, or on the west side you have stuff that's Brockport, but maybe you don't have that. Okay, this example. My uncle's house is Greece, but it's Hilton Schools, right? So you're going to be able to pull more, okay? So what I'm going to do is set up his search for East and West Arundequite based on the school district. And then because he said, okay, well, I want to stay close to Culver, I'm going to set up his city search separately and draw a shape around the area in the city that he's interested in, right? So right now, I'm only going to set up the East and West Arundequite one. I'm not going to get into doing all the other stuff. I always take off continue to show because what does that mean? It means there's an offer. Okay, so why are we looking at a house that has an offer? That's stupid to me. So bedrooms, he said minimum of 2, total baths, minimum of 1. Just so you guys know, if you have not taken the MLS class, or if you didn't know this previously, let's say he said 1.5 bath is a minimum. This is 1.5. Okay, 1.1, not 1.5. I did not take the classes when I was supposed to, and I was setting up people on searches for 1.5 bathrooms, and that's 5 half baths, and I couldn't figure out why I was missing all these properties. So again, fail forward. Okay, school districts. So we have East, Arundequite, and we have West, Arundequite. So Shamar said he's open to doing a little bit of work. It's really more about having like a good solid house that makes sense for him. So we might be able to go a little bit lower in the starting price point because of those cosmetic issues that might be there, right? So I'm not going to go too low because he wants something that's in good shape, but maybe we go to 79. I don't think we're going to find anything that low in Arundequite, but again, I don't want you to miss it, okay?
Hey,
And then
Kaylee, I'll be right back. I just got to take this call real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, guys, and then I would ask him, so 150 is the max, right? So I just got done saying we got to stay around that 1 to 120 mark, okay? So I'm going to say, listen, do you want to see stuff up to 150, knowing that we really shouldn't be looking at it, right? Most people are going to be like, no, why would I want to see something that I can't really buy, you know? Or they might say, well, what do you think? Well, I think maybe, you know, we go up to 130 or 140, you know, you never know. So something like that. So maybe we stop it at 130. Sorry, that little thing at the bottom there. Okay, so 79 to 130, 2 bedrooms, or minimum 2 bedrooms, minimum 1 bathroom, East and West Arundequite School District. He didn't care about. I have a question, you guys. How do I get rid of the bar at the bottom for Zoom? Do you guys know how to do that?
Let me see. I thought if you just like was a little arrow, but no, I'm not finding that. Hold on.
Hide. Yeah, I don't know. I want to get it out of the way so I can click on stuff. Okay, I'll just move it up. All right, so there's 7 matches. So go here. Then I would ask the client, have any of these caught your eye? Do you recognize any of these addresses? You know, he might say, oh yeah, I saw Spencer Road. Okay, well, let's take a look really quick. Okay, so this one's listed just a little bit higher at that 129.9 mark. Let's take a look. So it's 2 bedroom, 1 bath. And then I'm gonna go through it with them and flip through. Okay, so, okay, kitchen. What do you think of this kitchen? Right, okay, Laura, can you play with me for this one?
Sure.
All right, so Laura, what do you think of this kitchen? Like, you said it didn't matter if it was out of date, so.
Okay, is there a dishwasher?
I don't think so. I think that's it. But you do
That'd
have
be
it, so that's good. You
Oh,
know.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking for something with a dishwasher.
With a dishwasher, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. I don't want to be a dishwasher, so.
Yeah.
How do you? It's gas stove though. Does that matter? Sometimes that's exciting for people.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Okay, we just want the dishwasher. Okay, hardwoods, that's good. We talked about hardwoods. All right, the whole bathroom's blue. That's good. Looks like it's in pretty good shape though.
Yeah.
Okay, it's clean. All right, carpet. So that's not on our list, but you know, maybe there's hardwoods underneath. Okay, looks good. How do you feel about this yard?
Looks a little small, but it might be all right.
Yeah, so it does have, looks like it has like this back porch area, and I know that was something that was important to you, and this little patio, you know, I guess it's not much, but it's there, you know, so. So yeah, that's what that would look like going through with a client. I'll click on one more. See if we can get something more excited going here. Okay, fall staff. So this one, little less in price, so gives us a little more room to compete. How do you feel about the garage being under the house? Does that matter?
It's fine, as long as we got a garage.
Oh, there we go. Okay, that's a pretty bathroom. What do you think of that?
I mean, it's not the best, but
It's definitely not the best. I hate these. I hate these doors. Drive me nuts. You ever like tried to get into a shower with one of these and you like bang your leg as you're getting in? It's awful. All right. Carpet's gotta go. Right. That's wow. Okay. Whew. That one needs some work.
oh my
right?
gosh.
But here's the thing, like you're going through some of that and like it'll jog you for asking questions, you know, like, okay, do you like that style kitchen? You know, are you more drawn to white kitchens or dark kitchens, or does it matter if it's granite or quartz or laminate or whatever, you know? So just trying to like get as much information out of them as possible. So we can see what something at 129.9 is. A list price of 129.9 looks like. We just looked at what a 120 looks like. Let's look at what a 89.9 might look like, okay? Just to get an idea of where we might fall in comfortability price-wise, okay? So, oh, that's adorable.
That's cute.
That's cute. That's cool. How is this one the best? I'm just kidding. So I might ask my clients, like, do you like this? You know, has a wood stove. Do you mind that? This has white kitchen updated. Are you okay with, you know, the transition of the flooring there? Are you okay with slanting? They might be like, I hate slanting. Oh, good. Then we shouldn't look at any Cape Cods. All right. Oh, love that. That's awesome. This house feels very small to me.
It looks
Yeah,
nice though. It's not
It
terrible.
is nice. It's like, I'm actually surprised. But
Yeah, I mean, like
it looks a little
it's
tiny.
it's cute, but I feel like it's for like small people. Like,
Yeah.
how could you, like, what is this shower going? Like, what just happened there? Oh, jeez.
How many people are sharing that room? Like 12?
I don't know. It looks like an Airbnb, doesn't it?
It kind of does.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, and again, like just trying to like build some rapport with your client, like flip through some of these, like, wow, these pictures are really great, or you know what I mean? Like just have fun with them with it, you know, and ask more questions. Also too, like if you get people that are looking, you know, maybe they're looking further out, I always ask them like, listen, are you cool with well and septic? You know, the properties that are in the country, you know, some of them are going to be on well and or septic. Are you cool with that? Do you need central air? Right? So I don't need it, but I'd like to be able to add it. Okay, so, you know, what if something's on a boiler, it doesn't have, you know, air ducts or whatever? Do you even want to consider it? No, I don't. Okay, great. So the next time they send you a property and you look and it says that it's on a boiler, you're going to say, Shamar, hold on. Why are we going to look at this? It's radiators. I thought we wanted forced air. Oh yeah, shoot, you're right. Okay, good. Now we don't have to waste our time and go see it. Okay. Same thing with like, do you prefer a main or a neighborhood over a main road? Right. Having questions like that, like I get people that'll be like, I don't want one on a main road, and then they'll send me something like this on Empire Boulevard, and I'm like, are you kidding me? What did we
The
just
main
talked about
road.
this? Like, hold on, you get, and a lot of times, like, I'll come from curiosity, like, hold on, Shamar, you gotta help me understand this one. All right. You told me you didn't want this, you didn't want this, you didn't want this, and this house has all these things. So talk me through this. Right? Like, it's okay to say those things. All right. You can let them know, like, this only works if we're totally transparent with each other. Right? Okay, so you get their search all set up, you save it, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so moving on to the next piece is searching for properties. So if you You want to be an agent that puts it in the MLS and you forget about it and let it do its job, that's totally cool. I am not one of those agents. I prospect for properties for my clients. So I like to let them know that I go the extra mile, or I feel I go the extra mile. So I let them know, listen, the reason that I asked you all those questions about what you're looking for is because I want to get a really clear picture of what might interest you, because I am looking for properties outside of the MLS. Okay, so talking about your search, there we go. Number one, we checked it off. We put your MLS search together. Okay, number two, I use a lot of social media. So my Facebook, my Instagram. So I'm a part of a few different private realtor groups. So we're constantly asking each other, hey, I have a buyer looking for this. Does anybody have this coming up, right? Or I'll put it on my personal Facebook page, you know, a list of everything that a buyer's looking for to see if, you know, maybe there's somebody that I'm friends with that is thinking about selling that checks those boxes. You know, we should have a conversation. It might be a good match for you. I've actually sold 2 houses over Facebook. So it does work, community and door knocking. So I let people know, like, listen, I go to church, I go to the gym, you know, like whatever you do outside, like, I don't know, I go to the bar, like I meet a lot of people. Okay. So let them know, like, there's things that I do in my community. I'm constantly talking to people to see if there's a house that they know of that might work for you. And door knocking, obviously, you guys know we can't do that now because of COVID, but I used to be big on door knocking. I love it. So I do let clients know, like, once that's lifted, I'm happy to go door knock a neighborhood, a street, a specific house that you might be interested in. Okay. And then past clients and cooperating brokers and agents. So because I've been in the business for almost 6 years, I have, you know, plenty of past clients that I'm able to call on to see if, number one, are they interested in moving? Number two, do they know of any neighbors or friends or anybody that's thinking about selling, you know, that fits your criteria? So I'm going to call all my clients that live in East and West Arundecoy and say, hey, I have a new buyer. Do you guys know of anything that might be coming up, right? And then you guys make friends with agents, It is going to make your life so much better, okay? Because not only do you have the ability to lean on these people, we can lean into each other in this crazy market. We all want to help each other, most of us. There's a few out there that I think don't. But anyways, we all want to help each other. And use them, you know, like I have a lot of best friends in the business, and I'm constantly on the phone with them, like, hey, I have this coming up. Do you have any buyers? Or I have a new buyer I'm working with. Do you have anything that's on your roster? Okay. And then when you do write offers, you know, just having that connection, having that ability to know, like, hey, we already are great in conversation and we seem to like each other and I would love to work with you. It's just like much better all the way around. Okay. So for you guys, this paragraph might not say past clients and cooperating brokers and agents. It might say friends, family, and cooperating brokers and agents, right? Because I'm willing to bet you guys have friends and family that have houses that you can call and say, hey, I have a buyer that's looking in your school district or your area or your street. Do you know of anybody? Okay. Lean into that. Okay. And then negotiation and protection. So the last piece to really seal the deal with somebody is explaining to them, hey, this is how I can make your offer strong, or how you can make your offer strong, I should say. This is how I'm going to help you. And this is how I'm going to protect you. Okay. Because our job is to advise and guide and protect. Okay. So I want to make sure that I go over that with my clients. Okay. So, and actually I need to add something to this to strengthening the offer that has to do with appraisal. So I do need to update this, but So I'll say to them, listen, we just went over what's going on in the market. We know that it's super competitive. We know the price point that we need to stay in, okay? But if and when you are ready to make an offer, these are the things that can help, okay? So number one, price, all right? Not always the most important, but in this market, you know, price can go a long way, okay? So the second piece to that is the type of financing. So like we already talked about, Shamar, you're a conventional buyer, so that's good. That gives us hopefully a leg up if we're competing against, you know, an FHA buyer or something like that, okay? You know, where we might struggle is if there's a conventional buyer putting more money down, or we're up against cash, right? So I'm explaining to them like, okay, the type of financing matters, right? Number three, the down payment. So here, I'm gonna reiterate it again. We're 5% down. So 5% is better than 3, but 10 is better than 5. Okay, so explaining to them, listen, if you have more money that you can put into your down payment, bless you.
Sorry, thank you.
That'll allow us to present a stronger offer. Okay, we look like a stronger buyer. We have more money to put into the transaction. Okay, so again, it's all about setting expectations. Okay, good faith deposit amount. So when you make an offer on a house, you have to put down what's called a good faith deposit. It's due within 2 calendar days of an accepted offer. Okay, the price point that we're in, if we're not competing, I would suggest, I don't know, maybe $2,000, $2,500, something like that. If we are competing, the more money you have in that deposit, the stronger your offer will look, okay? Because what it says to the seller is, I have this much skin in the game, okay? So if you're a seller and you get 2 offers and everything about them is the same, but offer number 1 is giving a $1,000 deposit and offer number 2 is giving a $10,000 deposit, who's got more skin in the game? My 10K guy, right? Or girl, okay? So they are willing to put more up. So if they walk away, if they lose it or whatever, somebody's gonna be real upset if they lose $10,000. Or I should say more upset than if they lost $1,000, okay? So that's how you can explain it to your clients. Okay, inspections, huge. I'm never gonna tell a client, never gonna tell somebody to waive an inspection, okay? What I need you to understand as a buyer in this market is that a lot of people are waiving inspections. Okay, so we will be competing against people who are waiving inspections. Okay, so if you're an inspection person, that's totally fine, and we're going to talk about it and we're going to figure out ways that we can get around it. Okay, if you're on the fence about it, that's okay. We're going to talk about it, and it might be a case-by-case scenario. Okay, and if you're not worried about inspections, then we're not going to worry about inspections. Okay. Number 6, possession of property, okay? So if you have a flexible time period on your move-in date, things like that, that could help you get your offer accepted. So I had 2 sellers last summer that needed up to 60 days post-possession, and they both took lesser offers in price because those offers were willing to give them so much post-possession, okay? So helping, you know, them understand if they can be flexible with that, that may win it. Okay, and then obviously that sale contingency. If you're contingent in this market, guess what that conversation looks like? This is not the market for you. No, I'm just kidding. But you're going to strategize other ways around that. Okay. And then the other thing that I was mentioning that I need to add to this is the appraisal clause. So I don't know if you guys have heard or seen people using appraisal clauses where they're saying, okay, if the appraisal falls short, so the bank doesn't think the house is worth what my buyer is trying to buy it for, my buyer will make up the difference. okay, up to X amount of dollars, okay? So we really need to make sure that we're looking at comps and giving our clients a safe zone, something that, you know, we're never 100%, but where we're pretty sure that they're going to be okay on the bank appraisal. It's obviously their decision if they want to go outside of that. My conversation with my buyers has been, listen, I looked at comps. This is where I feel that it would be safe for you to move forward. And we are also going to include an appraisal clause, knowing that it'll help get your offer accepted and knowing that it's not going to come into play. Okay, does that make sense, you guys? So, but you have to make sure that they are okay with, if it does come down to it, they can come up with that difference and put a cap on it, you know, 5,000, 10,000, you know, maybe they're, you know, whatever they can do for that. If you have more questions around that, please speak to a loan officer. Okay. I'm not the person for that. Okay. So, all right. And then protecting your offer. Sorry. Right of first refusal. Have you guys heard of that before? Maybe? No? Crickets? Okay. So the right of first refusal, use this with every single offer that you write, whether you're competing or not. Because what it's going to do is it's going to protect the transaction and keep it in a box with a bow, okay? Or as best as possible. So take a picture of this, screenshot it, write it down, whatever you need to do, because you're going to want to put this with every single offer you write, okay? So you're going to say to your client, so when I write offers, I include what's called a right of first refusal. I use this with every single offer that I write, whether you're competing or not, okay? And the reason that we use this is because in New York State, we need attorney approvals. And that's usually a 2 to 3 day window, okay? And if it falls on a weekend, it's even longer, okay? And during that attorney approval window, anything can happen. So the seller can accept your offer and then they can get something else that they like 1 day later and just have the attorneys disapprove our contract and bump us out, okay? So what this does is it says, hey, if you get an offer that you like after you already accept ours, you got to come back to us and give us the opportunity to play ball. Okay, so if after accepting the above stated offer, but prior to attorney approvals, another offer is presented to and accepted by the sellers, the buyer shall have the first right of refusal to increase their purchase price and or adjust terms and conditions of the above stated offer. The seller to provide the buyers with sufficient documentation to justify the sales price increase and or the term changes. Okay, any questions on that? Great, I didn't think there would be. Okay. The other one that we use to protect our clients is an escalation clause. So you guys have definitely heard of that. So here's a little trick. And if any of you ever use this against me, I'm going to come after you. I'm just kidding. Okay, so I win offers because I pick a weird number. And I get multiple offers on my listings and I see all these agents stopping on 5s and 0s. So the house is listed for 150. Your buyer's like, oh, I'll go to 170. Okay, great. The likelihood of another buyer going to 170 is pretty good. And then the likelihood of that agent calling you and saying, okay, we have 2 offers that are exactly the same, give me your highest and best, are pretty good. And now you're in a guessing game again, right? So here's what you do. In the event of competing offers, buyer will pay, pick a weird number, okay? If you are in a price point that is in like that 150 price point, maybe you do a $2,000 or $3,000 escalation. If you're in a high price point, like, you know, 2, 3, 400,000, maybe it's $5,000 or $7,000 or $10,000. Okay. So what I usually do is whatever it is, it's that plus $1. So I say, okay, buyer will pay $3,001 over the highest offer net up to a final purchase price of X. Okay. So my client said they wanted to stop at 170. So I say, okay, that's great. What we're going to do is we're going to take your escalation and put it on top of that. Okay, so we're actually going to stop at 173. In the event of an escalation, seller to provide proof of competing purchase offer with pre-approval or qualification or proof of funds. The contract is void if the other offer is from an acquaintance or relative of the seller. Seller represents and warrants competing offers are true and valid offers. Okay, so add it on top. You have a better chance at winning. Okay. If you went back and look at my sales history for my buyers, it's all these weird random numbers. A lot of them are by like, it's like, you know, 156, 001, 172, 001, right? So yeah, stop on a weird number. Do you guys have any questions on that?
No.
No? Okay. Awesome. So hard. I can only see a few of your faces on my screen. So I'm not going to go over this right now, but I do include it in my packet. So it's the process of, you know, purchasing a home. So, you know, starting with sitting down with who you are going to select as your real estate agent all the way through, oops, to the final walkthrough. I have a loyalty club. And I made all of this on command, so you guys can find it on command as well. This commonly used terms was in the buyer packet that was on there. So I just took that and stuck that in there. And then I have helpful contacts. I got to put my third person on here. And I tell people they are strategically placed. Okay. I love all these people. I trust all these people, but they are strategically placed. I don't know why all these L's are bold. That's really weird. But I let them know, listen, these are the lenders that I prefer to work with, that I recommend to you. These are the real estate attorneys that I prefer to work with, that I recommend to you. And then if you need any other contacts, just let me know. I have a lot of vendors that I have relationships with. I'm happy to pass their contact info along to you, okay? And then action items. Let's say they got some stuff. They got to clear up their credit before they qualify. They got to figure out their lease situation with their landlord before they make a decision about, you know, their timeline on moving, something like that. You can write that down there. So, do you guys have any questions on that? No? Okay. The last thing is when you go to write an offer, you guys, you gotta ask questions. Okay. You gotta ask questions. I always say I'm like a little weasel, because I am literally like, I'll call the agent and I'll be like, listen, we're thinking about writing an offer. What's most important to your seller? Like what is going to get this done for them? When do they want to close? Just confirming what appliances are included. Do they need any post-possession, or do they want the option for post-possession? Do you have any other offers? What are those other offers? Come around and ask them, what are they? They're probably going to tell you to fly a kite. But on the off chance you make nice and make friends with somebody, they might tell you, well, I got a really crappy offer, so as long as you write above X, you know, we can probably make it work. You know, maybe they say, yeah, I have 3 offers in hand. Okay, are any of them cash? What type of financing? Okay, conventional. Okay, great. Are any of them putting down 20%? Okay, do any of the offers have inspections attached to them? You know, asking questions around that. And then rounding it out again with, okay, is there anything else that's super important to your client that I can write in this offer that'll make them really happy? That'll make this a win-win for everybody. that's going to allow my buyer's offer to stand out. Okay. So you want to ask them that stuff, you know, do your due diligence for your client. And then you write your best offer. And when you send over the offer, my suggestion is you outline all the things in the offer. So you say, this is my buyer's purchase offer for 123 Main Street. I'd like to highlight a few things. 150 purchase starting price. I usually say starting price, escalating by $2,000 up to X, no inspections, 10% down with premium, or whatever. You know, closing this date, option for 30 days post-possession. Go through and outline each of those things, okay? And then you ask for confirmation of receipt. And then you call the agent and you say, hey, I just sent you an offer. Can you confirm receipt? Or you send them a text, okay? You need to make sure that you get that, all right? I had a listing recently. We had 24 offers, and I would say more than half of the agents never even called me. They didn't call me to ask me any questions. They didn't call me to tell me they sent an offer. And then we reviewed offers at 2 in the afternoon, and I got a text at 9:30 at night that said, I'm guessing we didn't get it. I said, I didn't even know you wrote. And he said, yeah, we sent it over at 9:30 this morning. And sure enough, I went back in my email and it was there. And I said, I'm so sorry. I'm sending it to my client now. Now it didn't matter because it was not competitive. But you know, I do have that obligation to present any and all offers. And I sent it over and I said, listen, I know we signed everything, but we don't have attorney approval. So take a look at what's here. But I said to the agent, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you call me or text me or something? You know, I had one yesterday. I wrote on it and I sent it over at 2 o'clock and I said in the email, please confirm receipt. And then I texted her and said, I just sent you an offer, please confirm receipt. And then I waited until 5 and she didn't respond. And then I called her and I said, please confirm receipt. And then 7 o'clock rolled around and I texted her again and I said, please confirm receipt. And I finally got a response that said, yes, I have it. But I mean, you got to follow up on that stuff, especially when there's, 20, 30, 40 offers out there, you guys. Okay. It's easy to miss. So that's all I have. Do you guys have any questions? No?
Good.
Wow.
I have one question. It's not about like a buyer though. So I've got a family friend and they know what's going on right now with the market or whatever, and they're gonna sell, but they don't want to sell for 2 years, but they've basically said, well, because their daughter's in college, so they're waiting for her to be done with college, but they were making it seem like that they would sell now if they got a lot of money for their house, basically way over what it would be listed at or whatever. But they wanted to essentially know and I was I don't know, but their driveway is kind of older. Are little things like that meaning anything, you think, right now? Right. So if it was done, refinished, it would be better then, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about it. So people walk through properties. I mean, buyers have all sorts of objections.
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, if everything else is perfect and the driveway just needs to be resealed or redone or whatever, then, maybe not. That can be overlooked. But let's say the roof is old and the kitchen's outdated and the floors need to be refinished and the carpet is crappy and the driveway sucks. Well, guess what? People start adding all of that stuff up,
Right.
right? So the conversation you have is, listen, I looked at comparables. If you did nothing, this is what we would list at, or what we might list at, you know, you
Right.
use that language, right? If you did some of this stuff, this is what we might list at. If you did all of this stuff, this is what we might list at. I don't have a crystal ball. It's my favorite line.
Right.
I don't have a crystal ball, you know? So all I can do is guide you based on the information that we have today and
Right.
what we know today, right? So I know that this other house was listed at X and it's sold for this much over,
Mhm.
okay? So if we're gonna list at this, how do we compare to that house,
Right.
right? And then knowing that they got X, right? But like, I had somebody that, you know, I think it's more about education. When you sit down with them and you show them these houses, like, okay, let's look through them together, right?
Right.
You say, so do I have permission to be direct with you? Yes. Okay, great. So looking at this house, are we nicer than this house? Are we the same or are we not as nice? Okay, well, that's a really nice house. Okay, well, that house was listed at this, so we're
Right.
not gonna be there, right? So what I like to do is I do a quick CMA form on the MLS and it'll spit out the max price per square foot, the minimum price per square foot, and then the average and the median, okay? So what I'll do is I'll start with the minimum, the house that came up at the minimum price per square foot,
Mhm.
and we'll flip through that and we're like, okay, we're nicer than that. Okay, so now we know we're not gonna be priced at the minimum, right?
Right.
And then I look at the top. And then I'm like, okay, now looking at the top, what do we have that compares with that?
Right.
Okay, well, we don't have that, but we have that, but that's a lot better, right? Okay, so now we know we're gonna be somewhere in this average median price point. Okay, go from there.
Perfect.
I don't have a crystal ball.
I actually have a question, not relating to that, but I have a couple of our friends that live out in Las Vegas, but they want to buy properties out in Rochester. And they wanted to go through me once they're starting to do it next couple months. But how would you go about the process with doing like the agency agreement and everything like that when they're not located in this area?
Zoom.
Zoom, do it. Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know
Yep,
if that's something that you should. Yeah.
Yep. So during COVID, all my stuff was during Zoom. And then I had somebody move from the Adirondacks, somebody moved from Philadelphia, somebody moved from Florida, all during COVID. And we did Zoom.
Okay. And then for the showings, obviously would just like do like a FaceTime. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. And I would also suggest calling the agent and letting them or seeing if you can, you know, most people will allow you to schedule like 2 showings like back to back, you know what I mean? But I would always call them and just say, hey, I'm going to be FaceTiming with a client. I just want to make sure that, you know, I have enough time because it's going to take you longer to FaceTime.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. They're going to be like, can you go back to that room? Can you zoom in? You know? Yeah.
Can you go down to the basement again?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Totally. It's yeah. Yeah. FaceTime. That was tough. I did an open house on Zoom during COVID, and it was like, can you go back? Can you, you know, I'm like, oh my God, you know, and then they're like, you're going too fast. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? It's blurry. Well, no shit, it's blurry. It's FaceTime. What do you want me to do? You know, so yeah, just make sure you schedule enough time because a half an hour might be.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
So, okay.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Anything else, you guys? Okay, I'm going to put in the chat. Oh, somebody wrote, oh, okay, I have to go. Okay, I'm going to put in the chat my email address. I'm terrible at email, but I'm more than happy to send my buyer packet out as reference for you guys. So just shoot me an email and let me know if you would like that. Here is my phone number. If you guys ever have questions about anything, feel free to call me or text me. You know, happy to help. So, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome, guys. Good luck out there.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a good
Like I
one.
said, if you ever compete against me and you win because I gave you tips, I'm coming after you.
I'm totally gonna do it.
Have a good week, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.